attended a Chinese wine tasting last month, and honestly, I wasn't that impressed. But the foreigners at the table, they loved it.
Very surprised. My first time trying it. Very, very good.
So I wanted to understand why. The tasting was held in downtown Shanghai, featuring a winery called Bai'nian from Xinjiang. Xinjiang is in the northwest of China. It's known for intense UV exposure, hot summer, and high altitude, conditions that often lead to high sugar levels and powerful wines. We tested 12 wines, from white and an orange wine, to multiple reds, a rose, and even a brandy to finish. About half of the people they were foreigners, who are genuinely interested in Chinese wine. It felt like a very Shanghai kind of winter afternoon. After tasting everything, if I had to pick the wines that felt close to fine wine territory, I would say the Petit Verdot and the Marselan. Personally, I prefer the Petit Verdot. It felt standing, structured, with a balanced mid-palate and a medium finish. But many of the other wines shared something that I personally struggle with: bitterness. And I'm quite sensitive to bitterness. So from my palate, some of the wines felt a little one-dimensional towards the end. But here is where it got interesting. The foreigners at the table reacted very differently, so I asked them what they actually liked. Lao Ma, who runs a wine bar in Shanghai, told me.
My favorite here is the Sangiovese, which is very strange because
So Sangiovese is your...
I think it's my favorite from them. But and also they have a Marselan white,
without
the white one. It's so good.
So good.
Very surprised. My first time trying it. Very, very good.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm glad that they experiment.
Then Andrew shared his thoughts on the Cabernet Sauvignon.
在 cap 上，这个还不错，可是可以。还不错。cap 上就比较 complex， 比较有 structure， 我觉得。pretty herbal, pretty powerful nose. A lot of these, I haven't checked the vintage, but the entry is pretty good, pretty powerful. Maybe need a little bit more time because not as much kind of follow through. So like the mid palate and the tail, I'd say, use a little bit more. At least the first impression is wow.
And later, in a longer interview, Tudor told me something similar. He said he really enjoys Chinese Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc.
So I think it's very few people that associate China with wine. I think China should be on the world map of wine.
Listening to all of them, something became very clear. They are much more comfortable with herbal notes, stronger structure, and higher alcohol levels than I am. And they were not just being polite. They generally found Chinese wine that they truly enjoy. Over the years, I've noticed a real gap forming with Chinese wine. Some wineries can already compete confidently at their price level internationally. Others are still experimenting and evolving, and maybe that's normal. Wine regions don't mature overnight. What this tasting really showed me is this. The difference wasn't about who was right, it was about preference. Western drinkers at the table seemed more open to herbal character and bottle structure. Many Chinese customers, including myself, may lean towards smoother profiles. And that difference changes perception completely. Sometimes understanding why someone else loves a wine tells you more than your own first impression ever could. Taste is personal, but context matters. If you are curious about where Chinese wine is heading, I will keep exploring. Please kindly subscribe to this channel. See you next time.